Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Splash City Basketball Podcast. We just got the brackets revealed. We're going to take a look at those, break them all down here in a second. So, first of all, let me introduce the guest tonight, guest of the hour, Eric Quackenbush, my longtime friend. We have done a few brackets in our time
Oh
together.
yeah,
We write them by hand as they were revealed because we didn't have any
just
digital
just
way to
I
do
just
it.
started here tonight, so
Oh,
little
you're still
printout
doing
and
it. Love it.
copy number one.
I love it.
I need the magnets. That's my favorite thing to see. The winners slap the magnet on the next
Oh,
step of
yeah,
the
yeah.
bracket. So
Yep, for sure.
all
That's
about that.
that's a fun way to do it. I wish yeah, we that's what we need. I went with
Yeah,
the, painter's tape this
that
year.
works.
Saw
That's
this on
slick.
the social media, but, um,
Yeah, that's slick and easy. Take it down
yeah,
there after. But yes,
hopefully
sir,
hopefully
Steve.
the, Sharpie doesn't soak through on the paint. We just painted, so I don't think
Yeah, I
mine
was gonna
might.
say it looked pretty fresh.
Alright. Looks like we got, public chat. Alright. Lisa, representing the Denver, Colorado. We're pulling them in from everywhere. I
Nice,
love it. Thanks for being here, Lisa. All right, so the chat's working, so that's a good sign. Um,
perfect.
I want to do a quick run through here. A couple of housekeeping items. I want to let everybody know Thursday I will be at Back Channel Brewing here at Spring Park on the shores of Lake Minnetonka for a live opening day show. I got some swag to give away. There's beer. There'll be a food truck. It's a super cool place if you haven't been out there. So we'll do a live show at Back Channel Thursday night. Time still to be determined. I'm kind of waiting to see who plays and when, but we'll figure that out. And then tomorrow I'll publish an interview I had with 14 seed North Dakota State's head coach Dave Richmond. I did the interview last week, but we'll get that up. They play Michigan State. We'll talk more about that later, but really excited to have Dave on the show. I've known him since like 2008, probably something like that. So super nice guy. Really excited for him and his program. So they just punched their ticket last Sunday, a week ago, beating UND to get to the big dance. So today Eric and I are going to talk about the regions. We'll kind of break down who we think is the toughest region. I already have an idea in mind. Can Michigan be the first Big Ten champ since 2000? That's a big storyline. Um, Snubs, I don't know if I really felt there was any major snubs, but some seeding issues for sure. And then we'll also talk about, some of the players, teams to watch, upset potential, Cinderella possibilities, and all that within the show. So for the next hour, hour and a half, we'll see how long we want to go. But that's kind of the plan. So Eric, where do you want to start? Do you want to go bracket by bracket? Should we go region by region here?
Well, I mean, I could guess which region I think is the toughest. I would go West region
You're
if
going
I had
west,
to
all
pick
right?
one. Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I
And
would go.
so you got Arizona out west. You got who else we got down there?
I mean, I think Arkansas, obviously seeing what they did in the SEC tournament, Wisconsin at the 5, that's a heck of a 5 seed right there. BYU, same thing at the 6, even though, any of those 6-11s, you are ripe for the picking. Gonzaga, and then Purdue at the 2, obviously. A couple of teams that I would have said were kind of underrated, and I don't even know if you can really say that, but going into the tournament, Wisconsin, Vandy, and Purdue. So you got 2 of those teams right here in the West bracket that I look at as, maybe not talked about as high as their seeds are throughout most of the
Yeah.
season,
I
besides
mean,
Purdue, of course. But
yeah, Purdue is an interesting one because, like, today, that was the Purdue team I expected all year. Like, they were in control. Braden Smith was just
yeah,
kind of playing with everybody on a string there. But we haven't seen a lot of that this year, and I'm worried that they get super matchup dependent. Like if so, I'm a
I
little
feel as though at times when they go too big, it hurts them defensively.
yeah.
And I don't know if they've maybe come to that realization or not, or what they'll do turning time here exactly. I mean, you hate not to have some of those guys on the floor. Clough is pretty effective offensively, but I think at times does cause problems for them on defense to have him and Kaufman Ren.
Yeah,
Um, it's not as clogging the lane as you like it to be. Clough is not super athletic. So,
right. Um, yeah, the other one out west that intrigues me though, from like an upset, like I I think both the 4 and the 5, and I know that's
oh
always
yeah,
like a trendy thing, and Wisconsin's playing so well, but going into it, I was like, "You don't wanna play high point." Like, nobody's gonna wanna
I
play
didn't
that.
realize they average over 90 points a game in
They shoot
Wisconsin.
it
This is
so well.
yeah,
Yes.
this is Wisconsin's highest scoring team since 1970 or 71. So shootout right there potentially.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, and they don't turn it over. Like,
yeah,
High Point, they're 5th in the country in turnover rate, so they are gonna shoot the ball. They got, I forget the kid's name, but he's, like, just outstanding shooter, and it's, like, all he does, right? He's like the Jack Golke from a couple years ago.
but
Uh,
definitely lacking the tougher schedule in Wisconsin. Boyd, Blackwell, Braden Carrington, they can shoot. Just the experience at the guard spot, man.
yeah,
I just find them a tough out. Is
yeah,
Nolan Winter? Is he hurt?
he's hurt, yep, so
Okay,
he's out. I
he's
don't
out.
know, let me check. I was
They
looking at
still have decent
injuries.
size, but that definitely hurts them for big
Looks like
men
he'll be
in
back.
rotation.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Okay,
But I mean, Austin Rapp, Nolan Winter, I mean, they're all the same. Like
Rap
they're
Rap got
senators.
hot in the Big Ten tourney for
Yeah.
sure.
So it's tough to really, yeah, I agree. Like I going into the year and not to toot my own horn, but I was like Boyd and Blackwell might be the best guard tandem in the country. Like when you
Yeah, they're
think of
both.
both together. And
Either one
for a
of them
while
can
I
take
wasn't
over
sure.
either night.
Yeah.
Um, I don't feel like they get too reliant on the outside shot. Boyd especially is great at getting into the lane. I just
Yeah.
think that's huge. Um,
Yeah.
you don't you don't have to be, hitting 30-40% on threes to win a game. Because that will happen in the tourney. So we'll find out, but
Yeah.
it's a fun little matchup for sure.
Yeah, and then Hawaii too was another one when I did my, like, mid-majors to watch, kinda going, like, about a
Yeah.
month ago, just kinda as the season was kinda getting to that point where March Madness was coming up. I really like Hawaii. Um, I like Arkansas a lot, though. I mean, Darius Acuff is
Yeah, getting to see a
he
freshman
might
like that. That guy doesn't look like a freshman at all. He is something else.
yeah,
Making it look easy, almost averaging a double double, and efficient. To see a young guy, he's shooting close to 50% overall and over 40% from three. I just think that's wild to see a guy be that dominant as a freshman.
yeah,
So
100%. I mean, to me,
hopefully we get to see a good bit of him
he I think he might be putting himself in, like, the 2nd or 3rd overall pick situation at this point. Like,
behind
Devontae's probably number 1.
behind AJ. Yeah, probably
Peterson,
with his pure size and athleticism. But yeah,
yeah.
a cuff man, he looks like a dog. So I wouldn't
He is
hesitate to pick him.
he is awesome. So, um, yeah. All right, we're working on YouTube. Just had to verify everything was good there.
Right on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Arizona from the jump has been really impressive, like beating Florida out the gate. And there hasn't really been a lot of letdowns from them, but
No,
this bracket, I mean, yeah, like Wisconsin, Arkansas winner. You still have BYU,
yeah.
probably the best player or top 3 player in the country in BYU and, Purdue. You got a great veteran team.
BYU is probably the best six seed in the tournament. I don't know enough about Tennessee. Maybe the SEC fans would push them up there, but BYU, otherwise, I would argue is the best six seed.
Yeah.
Um,
I tend to lean, like, in those games, right, like, best player on the court, and most
yeah,
nights, BYU is gonna have the best player on the court.
for sure.
Could be an interesting matchup with Gonzaga in that 2nd round, though, because that's
Yeah,
not too far from Spokane, not too
yeah,
far from
that's
Provo, like, that's gonna be
yeah.
an
They
awesome.
pitted that one out
Yeah,
on purpose for sure. Gonzaga, it's wild to see how good defensively they are. But
yeah.
again, I don't remember them having too many high profile non conference matchups this year. maybe as much as years
They won
past.
at
And
Kentucky.
okay,
They did have a pretty good non-con. I think they got blown out by Michigan. Um, yeah, they lost by 40 to Michigan. They beat Oklahoma. They beat Kentucky. Beat UCLA. Um, yeah. So and Alabama. So they just had the one loss going into conference play, and then they lose twice in the conference. So
which I would say the WCC is getting better. I mean, it's we got St. Mary's and Santa Clara. Um, there's some better top end talent um, in that conference,
if Santa
and
Clara
it's
hadn't
starting.
made it, I might have revolted. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
there with you for sure. I mean, it's not the NCAA tournament. They had said that Miami of Ohio. They made sure to have mentioned that they weren't the last team in, because if they were, then yeah, it would be a sad state of affairs if that was a debate. Um, it's not their fault. Nobody will play them. Same thing with Akron, man.
exactly.
Good luck to Texas Tech. That is a tough draw. Obviously, they got that with losing their best player, JT Toppin. Um, and I'm okay with that matchup. And that's a hard one not to pick Akron there. Get a chance to slip a 12 seed
I
in there.
100%
That'd be
agree.
one to go.
People forget that Akron was the preseason pick in the MAC. They've been better in the
Yeah.
metric all year. They have higher Ken Palm, they're higher in
Yep.
Torvik. They are objectively, they have been the best team in the MAC this season. And so the fact that they're, you know, an 11 or are they they're 12, right? Playing it so their
They're
last
12.
were to Purdue, Yale, who was a buzzer beater away from being in the tournament, Murray
Yep.
State, Miami. And then they lost to Troy. And Troy's in the
Yeah.
tournament.
Troy side. Yep.
Troy's legit. So
Yep.
yeah, I think Akron, Texas Tech will be a great first round matchup. Um, so you think the West is the toughest region? I'm gonna say the East, and it's odd because Duke is the number one overall seed.
East gets the blue bloods, you know.
East
You got
East
Duke,
has,
you got Kansas, Michigan State, UConn as the top four. So it is fun to see that.
and I think
Um,
the biggest like if I had a gripe with the seeding, it'd be St. John's being a 5. They're
oh,
Big East
absolutely.
outright. They won the Big East tournament, so that means 2
Yeah.
wins over UConn, and they're a 5 seed.
I would easily flip them in Kansas, don't you think? Not I mean, they're gonna have to play each other quickly potentially anyways, but
Yeah, probably,
it's
but,
it's
like,
hard. Kansas, if there's one 4 seed that I would say kind of surprised me, yeah. Um, they
this
leave
is
a
the
bit to be
problem with
desired.
this is the problem with the metrics-based stuff because Kansas plays all these games against really good teams, and I mean,
Yeah.
like, listen, Kansas has some great wins, and they have some terrible losses.
Mhm.
Bad, ugly, like, no-shows. So, I mean, could I see Kansas in the Final Four? Totally. Could I see them losing to Cal Baptist? Totally.
Yeah.
Like, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
Cal Baptist, I don't D2 not that long ago. I mean, it's fairly recent their jump to
Yeah.
D1, so that's pretty cool to see them already
So
making the tourney.
so you got UConn with a two-time national title winning
Yep.
coach. You've got Michigan State with a national title winning coach. You've got Bill Self in Kansas as a 4, and you have Rick Pitino at the 5 seed. That's why I think this East is
Oh,
the
yeah.
this. Like, to me, those top 5 seeds are better than any other 5 seeds.
I
I
guess
think St.
I'm a little down on Kansas. Michigan State, I don't know why. They just don't strike fear into me. Maybe like usual Michigan State teams, maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'm not picking against them early, I can't say. In fact, you could easily make a case in the Elite Eight. I would say, yeah, UConn absolutely tough matchup. Um, you got to get there, but they don't. I don't have many other teams that strike a ton of fear in me. Um, no, I can totally see where you're coming from. Is Duke healthy? What do we know
and that's
about
the other
the
thing.
injuries there?
So Duke, Patrick Gungba's gonna be back, so that helps him in the front court, but Caleb Foster, it sounds like he's done. And
Okay.
so you're relying on Caden Boozer to run the point. And they were playing Harris more yesterday because they had to kinda, and listen, Duke's ninth guy is still pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like but when you get into a game, I'm like if St. John's gets by Kansas and plays Duke in the Sweet 16, I don't know. I
The St.
seriously don't
John's,
know.
I can't say that I've watched enough of them. Did they have a little more scoring this year? Because I do remember last year in the tourney, man, they could outpace you, they could out hustle you. That I don't know if they have enough scoring punch, enough
St. John's.
finishers. Yeah. Did
They got Bryce Hopkins from
okay.
Providence, so he's like the big
Okay.
off-season guy. Um, I don't know that they have more than they had last year. Like RJ Lewis was Big East Player of the Year. He was awesome. Um, but what I can see if let's just say St. John's and Duke matches up, St. John's is gonna just wear you out. And I
Yeah.
don't without Caleb Foster, I think Duke could struggle. And then what I've been worried about all season with them is foul trouble between Boozer and Gangba. And if anybody's gonna get you in foul trouble, it's
Absolutely.
Edgefor. I mean,
Yep.
Edgefor is a monster for
Yes, he's a
St. John's.
problem for anybody.
So I don't know. If they were fully
They do a
healthy, I'd
great
feel better.
job, St. John's, getting you to play their style, and if they get you to
Yeah,
play their style, you're in trouble
right.
for sure. So it is a fun team in terms of, really embracing the Pitino style and not a style that everybody plays.
Yeah.
And can very, very much bode well for a tournament style um, program for sure.
Okay, let's go down to the South region. That's Florida. Florida gets the final number one seed. There was kind of some talk like, oh, is it going to be Houston, Florida, or UConn? They all lost yesterday. Florida stays as the number one, which they were going into yesterday, according to people who do stuff like this. I never really care. Like, I don't really understand why people get so worked up if who's the 4-1 seeds, because
Yeah,
now that they've lost twice in the last 8 years, like if you're Florida and Houston's the one and Florida's the two, does that make any difference other than,
no,
like, if anything, Houston has the advantage because the region's in Houston,
yeah.
so
I'm
it's
sure
actually
that's
like,
why they did that as such, right?
yeah.
Houston probably being, well, Purdue. Houston wouldn't be the top 2 seed, I don't think, but maybe
No, I think
because
they are
they didn't.
because
Okay, because
Florida's
they wouldn't have had Purdue on the 2 line before the Big Ten tourney, so possibly, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would make sense. Um, Houston's tough, man. Another tourney tested team and amazing to watch. It is crazy to think that I've seen out Houstoned this year, one of which was Texas Tech, unfortunately, with JT Toppin no longer.
Right.
Um, but they have been more vulnerable, better guard play, I would argue, but more
Yes.
vulnerable down low from their typical dominant on the boards and physical style. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually higher, in adjusted offensive efficiency than they are defense.
I
Normally
saw
defense,
Fleming, I would say, all day long, and then
Flemings, yeah.
yeah, I don't
And
know,
it's the lack of,
lack of
you know, I would say, like, kinda when you're playing 2 freshmen a lot, like Sinak and
yeah.
Flemings, you're just gonna naturally have a little bit more laps, but they're still number 5 in defense. They're just not, top
They don't
2 like
scare
they
you
usually
as much. It's crazy to think to say that as a number 5 defense team. We say that, but I guess that's
Yeah,
how scary I would say they were in previous seasons.
yeah.
Never a team I would want to run into. That's for sure.
No, no,
Um,
they're awesome. I mean, they don't turn it over. They force you into turnovers. They're really good on both ends of the court. Like that's a team going into the year. I would say once you kind of saw Fleming's play a little bit, you're like, okay,
yeah.
if you combine Sampson's defensive,
Yep.
uh, you know, education that he puts on those guys, and you get in a tournament situation, that's still. I mean, I'm gonna have a
Fleming
hard
was
time
the
not picking
oh,
them.
absolutely. He was the ingredient they were missing. You
Yes.
put him on last year's team,
Yep.
yikes. Um,
Exactly.
so
So
I would
Houston,
say it's a hard argument between the South and the Midwest, though, for kind of the least sexy bracket. Um, I'm glancing back and forth at them. Houston's lights out. St. Mary's is a great team. Illinois,
what do you think of Illinois?
quietly I find them hard to believe in or love, and then you watch them and you see flashes where you're like, "Wow, these guys are a matchup problem for so many people
Yep.
coming at you with so much size, so much
Yep.
scoring." Um, and then other times they just don't seem to scare you. I wouldn't be afraid of them defensively, playing against them, that is. Um, what was their Achilles heel? You tell me, maybe it was just that. Maybe it was defense and lack of physicality.
Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
they
they're
just they can't guard. It's the same as it has been for. I mean,
so they're
listen.
ranked 28th defensively in the Ken Palm. So they're 7 overall Ken Palm, 2 offense, 28 defense.
Yep.
They them and Purdue 36. There's kind of the biggest fall off either offense or defense in the Ken Palm. Those two teams right there. That makes
Yep.
sense from what we saw all year, and thus they both have 8 losses.
The biggest thing is
So
they don't really like get you out of anything other than having
yeah,
some size, right? Like they don't force you, I don't think, in a lot of
I'm shocked they're
it,
28th, and maybe that is just because of their overall length. Um,
yeah,
their their point guard, he's a gritty guy. Um,
Boswell.
he is physical for a point guard and willing to do the dirty work. I don't see dirty work written all over anybody else on that roster. Too European. Hate to say it, but
Yeah. Well,
that's
they
the
just they
flair.
every matchup they get on offense is usually like an advantage on offense
Yep.
is a disadvantage on defense because they're kind of slow. Keaton
I mean, they're
Wagler,
long. It's hard to be quick when you're that long at the same time. And if you don't have a big paint presence to kind of clean up the house, which I don't believe they do they?
yeah.
Am I missing something there?
You mean size on the inside or
They have a
just?
big do they have a big rim running shot blocker,
I mean,
enforcer?
they got two guys over 7 feet. Both the Ivisic brothers. The thing is like I don't know. I agree with you about like I don't trust them, but then I'm like
Yep.
looking back and I look at they had starting in February 7th, they lost to Michigan State in overtime. They lost to Wisconsin at home in overtime. Then they lose to UCLA on the road in overtime. Then they lose to Michigan again. Whatever, Michigan's awesome. And then they lose to Wisconsin in overtime in the Big Ten
Yeah.
tournament. So you're like, are they that
Where's
far away?
yeah,
Or is
where's
they
the bad loss, right?
right? But they gave up 85 to Michigan State, 92 to Wisconsin, 95 to UCLA, who's UCLA shouldn't score 95 points, 84 to Michigan, and 91 to Wisconsin. So I know those games are in overtime, but like maybe play a game in the 70s and 60s, and maybe you.
Maybe maybe getting some matchup with other teams that just get the tourney jitters will help them. They might be able to shoot through that where other teams won't. I
Do you know
guess
who play
that's
first though, right?
I
Fran
clicked off
McCaffrey
a
and Pat.
10. Yeah, I just saw some kid put up 44 last second 3 to put it
Yep,
into overtime.
played as a freshman at Duke, didn't get a lot of
Oh,
run. Then he went
oh,
to Virginia.
okay.
6'9" shooting, is it Tyler Power? Ty Power, something like that.
Chad Powers.
Yeah, Chad Powers. He's
All right.
reincarnated. He went through a
Playing
little
hoops
disguise.
now. Grew a
Um,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So, but okay, say fine, you win that game. Then you got North Carolina and VCU waiting. Um, VCU, I feel like, is the kind of team that will make them extremely scattered.
Absolutely.
Carolina, Carolina has some size with their big guy down low. I don't know. Yeah, I mean Illinois. It's the
Yep.
same as Kansas. I could see them losing first round. I could see them getting to the Final Four somehow. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make of them.
Well, does Nebraska get their first ever tourney win?
They better.
We should, right?
They better. If this ain't the year, I don't know, man. You're 26-6. You better.
I hadn't known a ton about them, but I had, as I mentioned earlier, Vandy is one of my underrated teams. They have a sophomore guard, but after that, 5 of their top 7 are seniors.
Yep.
Well balanced, not a ton of size, but enough. It's hard to say that when everybody's 6'7", but they don't have too many monsters. But very well balanced. I would I would like to think a little bit battle tested in the SEC, and obviously they put together a pretty good SEC tourney run. Um, and they started out the season 16-0, I want to say. Um, you know, I don't recall a ton of bad losses. A lot of it was there in the SEC.
Yeah.
Um, and think hopefully they're hitting their stride just at the right time. And I just see another veteran team with all those seniors. So would be cool to see Vandy put together a little bit of a run.
So Vandy is 12th in Ken Palm and 10th in Torvik, which means they are underseeded according to those metrics. Um, Worst loss home against Oklahoma. Otherwise, every other loss,
Borderline tourney team.
every team is a tournament team that they lost to besides them.
Yeah, you had Auburn and Oklahoma, the two highest Ken Palm rated teams to not make the tourney, which Auburn was 17 and 16. Both Auburn and Oklahoma highly rated offensively, but poor defensively. Which is interesting to see.
Okay.
If there's one metric in Ken Palm that you geek out about and think, okay, it's a recipe to success, what would you pinpoint as?
And for the tournament or just game by game?
I would say for the tournament, what seems to play out.
Well, it's
I
so
mean,
matchup dependent. Like if you don't,
oh, absolutely.
it's right. So say you have a lot of you have a higher turnover rate, like you're 60th or 70th in turnover rate, and you're playing someone who forces a ton, that would be it. But otherwise, I mean, I
I
always
mean,
look at
mm,
effective field goal percentage, offense and defense, because
sure.
however you get it done, some teams will force tough shots at the rim because they have a shot blocker. Other teams will, just force you to take a ton of long twos, whatever it is. But um, those are the things I look at. But like, so you brought up Oklahoma and Auburn, right?
Yep.
And I am so glad that they're not in.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a travesty. So I'm kind of glad VCU won the A10, so they could get that automatic bid, and St. Louis was going to be in regardless. But like, what are we? So they're high in Ken Palm. Why are they high in Ken Palm? Because they lost to Florida and Texas and Kentucky and Arkansas and Tennessee again and Texas A&M
They
and M, and
must
like
they
they're
must put
terrible.
up points, which is kind of interesting. You know what? The SEC is filled with a lot of very offensive teams. Alabama being number one in that realm. Florida is 9. Florida is probably the one most balanced. 9 offensive rating, 6 defense. After that, Vandy is 7 offense, 31 defense. Arkansas 6 offense, 48 defense. Tennessee is actually one of the few that's higher ranked defense. I usually look at defense, to be honest, more often than not. I think it's a bigger tell. Obviously, when you get to turning time, you can rely on defense a lot more than you can offense. Um, Hence, somebody like a Houston that's just gritty. One team, this is, uh, referencing us back here to the South bracket, Iowa. I would never guess Iowa's the best um, scoring defense team in the Big Ten. I never would have guessed that. Um, New coach from Drake. Why am I blanking on his last name?
Ben McCollum.
Brought in a whole new style from old Fran. That's for sure. Um,
Yeah, they kind of went the opposite route other than the
yeah,
point shooting, but they play so slow. They're 357th in the country in tempo.
that helps defense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
So
shorten the game. But going back to like the Auburn, Oklahoma, like to me, and I've said this for so long, I'm so sick of it. If you're the ninth or 10th best team in a power conference, you've already proven to me that you're
yeah,
not one of the best teams in the country. Like there is no way to
absolutely.
really prove Miami is or isn't because they didn't get to play anybody because nobody
Yeah,
would play them. So now you're going to say
yep.
like, well, look at their metrics, look at their this, look at their that. It's like nobody would play them. I can
The
almost
metrics get watered down after playing the same teams after a while. Our reliability isn't great. We don't know. Like you said, Miami of Ohio. Sadly, there's no incentive for teams to play, the non-power four.
exactly.
as it's set up, and they're getting, you know, with NIL and everything as it is, it's getting very dangerous of watering down this product. Um, so the tourney is the best sporting event in sports, and they have to keep the possibility of the Cinderella stories, all of those things. It's the pageantry of the tournament, and you
Yeah.
cannot lose that. You lose
I'm gonna
that, it could just be conference tournament winners, and we go
well,
from there, and that's
and
just
that's what
not
they
the same.
want it to be, right? Like, that's the whole power conference
Unfortunately,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
we
that's what they're
feel that
trying to do, but, like, at the end of the day, you have to win some games. So I don't care,
absolutely.
like, I use this site called
I want to see, I
Bracketology.
want to see winners, right?
Yes.
I don't care who you are. If you win, I want to see you.
And
Um,
and you look at wins above bubble, which maybe not everybody knows, but, like, the average bubble team, how many wins would they have against the versus the other bubble teams?
mhm.
And Miami wins that one, okay, cool.
Yep.
Nobody really cares what that means. Guess what? Who is this one? Auburn is 7-15 in the first 2 quadrants. You didn't win any of the game, like, you won a
No.
third of the games. I don't care that you have a high,
Yeah.
Ken Palm or what.
You've
And then
had plenty of opportunities to
and
prove who you
Oklahoma
are.
is 10-15, so they won a
Yep.
third or whatever it is. They won, 40%. 40% of them. Great job.
I mean, the only asterisk I would put on any team is if they had some major injury at the beginning of the year, and we didn't get to see, their number one roster.
Yep,
Um, but other than that, if we did, we know who you are. Um,
yep.
Go play in the NIT. We've seen enough of you,
Yeah,
right?
I
Time to
agree.
move
Like,
on.
Indiana,
So
they were on the even Ohio State, like, okay, they're what are they, 9, 8, 9s? Like, they're fine. They're in.
it's
I've
hard to
seen
get
Ohio
excited.
State. I've seen them play. I know they're not that good. They're
Yeah,
fine, whatever, but, like, give me a break. Why do we get so worked up over these power conference teams getting it? Because they all want more money? Like, I get it, but
absolutely.
gee,
Yeah.
good lord. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
So,
slippery slope if they go down that road too far, and they'll damaging the
yeah,
unbelievable product they already have for
if
sure.
they had held Miami out, I would have rioted. I think they know people would have rioted.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. I mean,
alright,
you gotta reward a team for doing what they did,
yeah. Well, and again, it's
and
not
we
their
wanna see
fault.
them.
It's not their fault.
No, no,
It's like the Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault that nobody would
absolutely.
schedule you. It's not your fault they didn't pick up the phone. It's not your fault.
Yep, yep.
All right, let's go over to the Midwest, talk about this quickly. Michigan, there's the top seed. Like you mentioned, Texas Tech. Akron is that's a classic 5-12. You got an injured Texas Tech team, but
Mhm.
that could be an
And
interesting one.
Texas Tech was interesting how good offensively they are. It wasn't their defense completely leading the charge, which was interesting to me, even though they are scrappy for sure. Um, but I thought that was surprising just looking at their metrics.
Yeah, they're gonna miss. I mean, obviously they're gonna miss JT Toppin, but like the biggest thing is just points that are on the rim. Like that
Yeah,
Arizona game where they were at in Tucson and they could throw it to him down low and he could just get a bucket. Like now you put so much pressure on your guards and your 3-point shooting, that yeah, maybe you win the game against Akron. Um, you know, I mean Texas Tech is still a very good team, but
absolutely.
their top end was Final Four, and now it's probably if you get to the second weekend, it's a great tournament for you.
That's a win, definitely. Is Virginia, are they getting overlooked? Are they the quietest 3 seed out there?
I would say so.
Being out of
Like,
the ACC?
I love Virginia. I mean, I saw them in person. Oh, good for me.
Who is
But
the current head coach at Virginia?
Ryan Odom from VCU. So
Oh,
his dad was Dave
he
Odom,
brought
Wake
okay.
Forest coach.
Is it
And
very much full court press,
it is.
Shaka Smart
It's
style?
the VCU like
Okay.
stuff, right?
Yep.
And they're old. Like they got what's his last name? Dolan. That he played at BYU. Older point guard. They got a bunch of old dudes. Even their freshman, De Ritter from Europe, from Belgium, is like
Yeah.
23 years old, so he's a freshman, but he's
That was
old.
you know what? That was Vandy's point guard. He's absolutely on his 6th year of eligibility. He had an
Not
injury
Tyler Tanner,
somewhere.
the other one,
No,
Duke Miles. Yeah,
Duke Miles,
yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah.
But it shows,
So,
it helps big time,
Vir
that's when you want
Virginia
them.
Virginia yesterday against Duke, that was the Virginia team I thought I'd see the first time they played Duke when I got ran out of Cameron. But I
Yeah,
mean, they can shoot it. They have
yeah.
3 or 4 guys that can shoot the ball. Jakari White from,
So it's a new up-tempo style, it's not the old school, um,
it's not Tony Bennett. No,
Tony Bennett
it's the
50 to
opposite.
48
No, no,
victories, yeah.
no. Virginia's legit. Jakari White, 6'3" guard from, played at NDSU. Um, he's on that squad. He hit some big shots yesterday. So, I mean, they've lost to Duke and North Carolina since January 1st, basically. So those are their 2 losses,
I
or
would
3
love to
losses
see
in a
I'd
row.
love to see a Miami of Ohio, Virginia matchup, you know? Sorry
Yeah.
to Tennessee fans, but I'd love to see that. Um, I'd love to see St. Louis up against Michigan. I don't know that St. Louis truly has the physicality by any means, especially against a Michigan. But St. Louis was one of the best 3-point shooting teams and the best opponent 3-point field goal percentage teams in the country this year, albeit against lesser opponents on a whole. But I would love to see them match up against a Big Ten team.
I want
San,
more Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I want more St. Louis. Give me Rabia
absolutely,
Aqua.
Robbie,
Yes.
all day
Yeah.
long. Absolutely, with the rec specs. Yep, can't get enough of those. He
Oh my
is
god.
an
He's awesome.
amazing passing big man, and it's funny watching him kind of stumble down the floor, but yet be so nimble all at the same time. Such soft hands. So
Mhm.
he is unique. He is college basketball's less athletic Jokic, I would say. Can be physical and dominant all at the same time, but cannot jump
Uh,
a lick. Um, but it's such a great passing big man. And he
yeah,
does have an impact on defense, albeit not vertically, but he's
right.
a big enough boy to be a presence. I sure
Yeah,
hope Santa Clara beats Kentucky. I don't care to watch Kentucky, believe it or not.
yeah. I mean, just
Um,
injuries kinda, and they just like that $22 million roster everybody talks about, but, like, you know, they're just not fun to watch at this point.
yeah.
I remember,
Iowa State. Oh, I'm bouncing around. Go for it.
early in the year, before the regular season started, Purdue did a scrimmage at Kentucky, and Kentucky kinda took it to them. Granted, scrimmage,
Yep.
but, like, some of their freshmen, I was like, "Man, these guys are awesome." Like, I think they got something here, and it just never really materialized for Kentucky, and, like, I just
They had a
it
couple little spurts where it started to come together, but
right, but they're
not
another
consistently.
classic case of, like, yeah, every loss was bad, but at some point, you gotta string something together, like, they beat Vandy, Tennessee, Arkansas, and all these teams are highly ranked in KenPom, but, you know, you just had what'd they have, 13 losses? Like, I don't know.
So mention Iowa State, another team that started hot. They beat St. John's early in the year. I forget about that victory. Beat Purdue. Um, then started to get in the Big 12, lose to Kansas, lose to Cincinnati, lose to TCU. TCU's a little underrated, I would argue. Lose to BYU, Texas Tech, Arizona. A little couple get right games against Arizona State and Bobby Hurley.
Yep.
Um, one of which put the nail in the coffin there. That was probably coming anyways. So yeah, it's hard to. It's hard. When Iowa State's rolling, they look like a really fun team to watch. Um,
Yep.
I am. I would say watching their game against Arizona, point guard Lipsy, I think he's hurt.
Oh,
I don't think they're saying it. He looked
mm,
like he pulled a groin, or he just got in a shot in an unfortunate area. But towards the end of the game, I was surprised they had him out there. It didn't look right. He went to the tunnel for a little while, then brought him right back out, and he wasn't moving right.
yeah,
Um,
he's got a groin injury. You're 100% right.
okay.
So here's what
Um,
you do. You don't
I don't know
play them.
why they threw him back on the floor, but
You don't play them the first game. You give them.
yeah.
Hopefully, if they're the Friday, Sunday, then you could almost get a full week of rest for them. But the question is, like, you probably need them to beat Kentucky and Santa Clara. I mean,
Yeah, that one doesn't heal right.
yeah,
Not that
if
fast.
you can wait a week and a half, that's ideal, but I don't know if I think they might need them to win the second game,
Yeah.
depending, I guess. But, Nate Heisey, by the way, shouts Lake City, uh, for Iowa State, hit the huge dagger 3 in the corner to get the win over Houston at Hilton Coliseum this year, so talk more about some Minnesotans on the rosters later, in this podcast. So that's a quick we went through, I think, every region. Um, anything okay, we talked about which one we thought was the toughest. You went with the West, I went with the South. Um,
Or
any
the East.
other,
You
like
went with the East, you mean?
I went with Duke's region. Oh, yeah,
The
East, my
East.
bad.
Yeah.
East, yep, East. Um, what about, like, seeds that you think were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that they gave that seed to that team," or something like that?
I mean, North Carolina was a little bit of I mean, maybe they should very well should be. There was just another one I was staring at. Tennessee, I don't know enough about Tennessee, um, but maybe they're an under the radar six, but the fact that they're under the radar, I feel like speaks enough volumes. Um, Louisville as a six, I see they're ranked in the top 25 or had been, and they're 23-10. I that's it's hard for me to get excited about that team. Um,
To
and
me,
they're a six seed.
They're gonna be dependent on if they have Michael Brown Jr. He's been hurt a lot.
Yeah,
Sounds like he's gonna play. If he plays,
uh,
they're pretty good. If he doesn't,
I think this is where seeding is overrated, and you see who they're playing, and they're kind of set up. You know what I'm saying? Sure, you're a six, but you got to play South Florida,
yeah,
who looks like a pretty darn good 11 seed.
yeah,
Um, you know, you can see some of these teams maybe, St. John's, right? Disappointed to see them as a five. Like I said, they could probably just as well be the four.
yeah,
Um, I'm not saying they get the easiest job being next to Duke and meeting them in the Sweet 16, but they got a path to the Sweet 16 that's not bad for a five.
yeah,
Probably the weakest four in Kansas, although albeit probably the most talented. Shocker, right? Um, Nebraska as a four, I was maybe a little bit surprised by that because they had a lot of momentum early in the year and then just seemed to fall off, for lack of a
yeah.
better
But
term.
remember, the committee doesn't care. Like
That's
this
right.
whole like, that's another debate that we can have because I do think it mattered. I think you're a different team in February and
Absolutely.
March than you are in November. So I don't like, which is how they justify these schedules, these power conference teams loading up on schedules because they're like, well, the whole resume, we look at it from the beginning to the end, and it all means the same. It's like, but
No.
guys get hurt, teams
Yep.
change, teams evolve. Like you can't really say that.
No.
Oh, I don't think. I mean, just
I
knowing
can understand. I can understand. Like, okay, we go Q1 back to Texas Tech just because JT Toppin is such a stud. How a guy like that ends up at New Mexico before a Power Four is beyond me. Um, but yeah, you don't want to take away from what they accomplished and not get a decent seed. Um, but they probably got Akron for a reason, and we know why. That Akron's definitely the best 12, I would say, on here pretty easily. Well, there's some good 12s. High Point, Northern Iowa.
there are
Um,
some really tricky
my
12. I
my
mean,
Missouri Valley team.
there's a
Um,
reason the 512 is a known issue, right?
absolutely. Obviously 6-11. Um, for the little bit higher matchups. Like they said, around 52% of 11 seeds have beat 6 seeds over the last 10 tourneys. Um, I'm not sure
Say
the
what?
statistics on
Say that again?
52% of 11 seeds have won in the last 10 tournaments.
Wow. That is surprising.
And well,
Maybe not
the
surprising, but like,
play-in teams are always an 11 seed, right?
so you got 2
2011
there.
VCU made it to the Final Four as a play-in. 2021 UCLA
CLA,
with
yeah. Jaime,
Jaime Jaquez, right?
yeah.
NC State made a good ways in recent years, and they're
The year they
11
beat
playing
the
again.
year they won the ACC tournament, got the auto
Yep,
bid. That's the
yep.
only reason they were in, yeah, yeah.
So 11 seeds are real bracket buster, pain in the butt. Now last year's bracket was super boring,
It
very
was.
much by the book. There were very few upsets, and you got to wonder. I think all of us wondered if NIL was going to lead to that in the Power Four conference dominance. Um, it does choke out a bit of the mid majors, but you do have some, mid major superpowers nowadays. Gonzaga obviously is one of them. I don't know what kind of money they have backing them, but
I
you
wouldn't
know
count that as a
they're not
mid-major.
far from some good tech money out there in Washington State. So I'm
They
sure they got a few
operate
deep
like a
pockets.
they operate like a high major. I mean, they're not
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Burries at Santa Clara, yeah, they're different, but, um, so I think this year, and I've been telling everybody that I talk to, like, I think this year's basketball on the court, don't forget about the transfer portal and NIL and whatever qualms you have about that stuff. I think the on-court product has been the best I can remember it. The freshmen have been amazing. And now to what you were just saying about last year being pretty chalky, all the, no fun Cinderellas. I think this year we get back to that. I think there's
I think so too.
lots of teams I can see winning. I think what's happened is the top is very good. Duke, Michigan,
Absolutely.
Arizona, even like
UConn.
Florida, UConn, Houston, I'd put in that group.
Yep.
But that middle ground of like the, the Iowas and the TCUs and
Wisconsin. I mean, those
Missouri,
guys
like all
are,
those teams
I
are
think you're
kind of,
seeing the mid-major draft of talent that is coming to them, and it's coming to the right places. And sometimes it's major to major almost. Nick Boyd from San Diego State. Yeah, I guess they would maybe consider it a little bit of a mid-major. Um, but guys like that coming to some of these bigger schools and coming into their own and showing how talented they are. Absolutely. I see more upsets in this year's tourney as well. I would have to imagine. Um, and I agree with you. Some of these freshmen blow my mind.
yeah,
Um,
it's crazy.
uh, who's the Arizona kid that
Burries,
I'm missing?
Cool Pete.
Burries. So smooth. He's like Jamal Murray, dare I say, a young, non-foul baiting Shea Gilgis. Just his style of play to get into the paint and kind of know with pump fakes what to do,
Yeah.
the spin moves. These guys, they all know these moves so effectively. Um, how to use a screen, how to split a
Yeah.
screen. It's pretty amazing to watch as freshmen how tourney ready a lot of these guys look.
Yeah.
Um, so it should
Yeah.
be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. Going back to I had asked you about your seating. Mine is St. John's. I think that's
Yeah,
I think it's hard to justify that. To just I think they're first of all, you win the Big East and you win the Big East regular season and tournament title. No other conference team, if they did that, would be a
yeah,
5 seed. There's just no
no,
way. And okay, so they've had one loss since January 4th. Their other losses, every team's a tournament team except for Auburn. And, they were debating. And
yeah.
at the time, we thought they probably would be. But Alabama, Iowa State, Auburn, Kentucky, Providence. Those are your other 5 losses. So
So
you have
definitely
6 losses.
little disrespect to the Big East, huh?
Totally. 100%. Like, it's not, they scheduled Mississippi, they had Baylor. It's not their fault those teams weren't very good. And it's also not their fault that Creighton and Marquette and Seton
Yeah,
Hall at Villanova. I mean, Villanova's in the tournament, but like a lot of the Big East teams kind of weren't as good as they were expected to be. But they ran through it. They lost 2 conference games. Like, I don't know. I'm shocked they're a 5. I think they're gonna be pissed. I think
yeah.
Pitino,
You'd look at the metrics. Man, the Big East did not represent well.
no,
Um,
No,
I'm surprised actually looking at this how fast it falls off. You have Villanova
yeah.
in there. Um,
3 teams in the tournament, but Marquette is usually a tournament team. They were
yep.
not great. Seton Hall was close, but couldn't close the deal. Creighton had the injury to McAndrew. That Creighton got the win at UConn, but other than that, it was pretty blah for UConn or for Creighton, excuse me.
I mean,
So
Syracuse very down. Oh, Syracuse ACC, excuse me.
yeah,
Marquette,
yeah,
yes.
you're
Butler,
aging yourself, Eric.
I know the old
If
Big
we could
East
get
was
Syracuse
back when
and
it was
Pittsburgh
cool.
back at the Big East, oh
Oh, it should be. We got to
yeah,
write things. There's a couple. Another public service announcement I have, Steve.
okay.
Pepsi, Mountain Dew, they need to bring back the NCAA teams under the bottle caps.
Oh,
You
dude,
know,
God, that was
we need
fun.
fun marketing. Except for
Nothing
this time, it could be a waggle hat. You know, that's what
Nothing
I'm
quite as
thinking.
exciting as getting Mount
That was
St.
the
Mary's
coolest
on the
thing.
bottle cap.
Oh, absolutely. You're gonna win it for sure. One thing I did want you to know, Steve, Chandler Bing is playing in this
Yes,
year's tourney.
Vandy. That's gotta be the
you
name of
know,
the tournament, right? Chandler
absolutely.
Van
His parents, gotta love him. So
I think I'm gonna give, somebody's gotta come up with, like, some sort of Chenandler Bong TV guide edition
absolutely.
of dude, that I was
He
trying to
gets
explain to my
minutes. He gets
son.
minutes too.
Oh,
So,
he had a
we'll
hammer
get a
dunk yet today or yesterday.
absolutely.
He's awesome.
Who
Yeah,
knew? Who knew?
it's fantastic. I'm just if we get a Ross Geller on, like, Lehigh or something, now we're set, or a
It's
Joey
that's
Tribbiani.
sounds Ross Geller has got to be Ivy League,
Yep.
something of the sort.
Joey Tribbiani feels like a St. John's or
Oh
Providence,
yeah, he's got to be out
Villanova.
east. At Villanova for sure.
He's like
Boston College. If
DiVincenzo
they were any good.
Tribbiani.
Absolutely
Oh,
repping out there.
so other team that I was kinda surprised to see seated where they were, not to break up the Friends comments, but,
Yeah,
NC State in the,
the
11
play-in.
first 4 in Dayton. Um, I don't know, they haven't played well lately, they've lost a ton of games here, including games to Notre Dame and Stanford, but, um, I don't I think going in, everyone kinda had these high expectations for NC State and Will Wade, and I was not one of them. I just was like, I don't know, their roster's kind of just okay. They got Darian Williams from, um, Texas Tech, and,
They are
it was great, but
they're
he was playing
34.
alongside JT Toppin.
Yeah.
Now he's not playing alongside JT Toppin, and Trey
They're
Holloman
34 in the Ken Palm and they're 11 seed. So they're the highest seed, you could say, or highest number seed for the highest ranking Ken Palm. Um, Wade, old coach Wade, what is his last name from LSU, NC State, right? It's his first tourney team.
Yeah, he was
What's
out McNeese State the last couple years, yeah.
Oh, that's right. And they've had continued success
Right.
as we see. So
Yep.
yeah, it's fun to see some of the smaller school mid-major teams um, have sustained success in recent years as well. Trying to think of a couple of the others now that have been. High Point, I believe,
Yep.
has been to the tourney consistently a few years now. Utah State
Utah State's very
has
good.
been a pretty solid, consistent tourney team.
Yep, VCU, I would say, since
VCU,
Shaka's been
absolutely.
here.
Yep.
Alright,
Who are
so
we
let me
missing?
ask you this. Let's talk about upsets. We've mentioned a few of them. If
Hmm.
you had to pick one, I'm gonna put one of them in here that I can tell you probably aren't a big fan of this one, but I got McNeese Vandy. I got McNeese as a possible. VCU, UNC, High Point, Wisconsin, South Florida, Louisville, or Akron, Texas Tech. Which one would you pick?
I would probably, boy, part of me wanted to say High Point, even though um, Wisconsin and Vandy, two older backcourts. I want to believe that's going to win out. I can see what you're saying with McNeese. Um, you know, I haven't watched Texas Tech enough without Toppin to know. Um, And I'm just gonna say Akron. I'm gonna stick with my guns.
Yeah, I like
That's the
it.
one I stare at the most.
Stay strong.
Um,
Stay
I
strong.
want to believe the old backcourts are gonna to get it done. You know, they can't all be cold one night.
Yeah.
Um, I would think one of those guards has got to step up for those teams and power them through. Let
Yeah.
alone they'll have the size advantage.
So
Uh,
to you said how they played without Toppin. So they win 3 in a row without him. Um, right? No. Yeah,
no,
they
I
lose.
think you could be right.
Yeah. So they beat Arizona in overtime. Then the next night they play, or a couple nights later they play Arizona State and lose, and he goes down in that game. Then they win 3 in a row, including at Iowa State and at Cincinnati. And then they lose 3 in a row since. They lose TCU, BYU, and then Iowa State in the Big 12 tournament, which wasn't competitive in that game, but Iowa State.
Looks to me like they're having trouble scoring, which is interesting. Um, just a bit here.
Yeah.
Um, right, and that I mean, 21.8 points a game, a lot of easy buckets, opens things up for a lot of other people. Um, they were averaging 80 points a game. Surprisingly, rebounds they were not the greatest.
Yeah.
Um,
All right,
not a
Eric.
huge margin team either.
My
Yes,
buddy
sir.
Nick, my buddy Nick, who I play hoops with on Saturdays, big St. John's fans. He says, make it make sense that St. John's is a 5 and UConn is a 2. I
Well,
don't know how to do it, so I'm asking you.
let's look at the total body of work, as they say. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
UConn
Body
29
of
and
work.
5,
Yeah.
St. John's 28 and 6. All right, let's do some deep diving, huh?
Let's deep dive it.
Um,
I'm resume
yep.
comparing here, Nick. So hang tight here. I'm gonna pull this up. This is my go-to bracketologist.com. Here's a resume. Net UConn 10, St. John's 15. So right there, Ken Palm 11, St. John's 17. So to me, they should be like maybe a 2 and a 3 or 2 and a 4 at the worst. Strength of record, strength of schedule. Hey, they're not far behind. Wins above bubble. It's 4 and 17. Quad 1 and 2. Let's combine those. 18 and 4 for UConn, 16 and 5 for St. John's. They each have a quad 3 loss. I don't
So
know, man. I told
St. John's has been on a heater. Um, they lost to Providence back in trying to find the date,
it was like,
January 3rd.
yeah, I said they've lost once since then.
One game.
And
No, they beat UConn, okay, at home.
and yesterday.
They
Or
lost to UConn by 32 shortly thereafter. Then they beat Nova, Georgetown, Seton Hall, Providence, Seton Hall, beat UConn
they
again.
ran the table outside of
Um,
that UConn loss. It's
they
it's
got on a
really
heater. Okay, did they get on a heater because it was in the Big East? Part of it looks like that. They lost to Auburn. They lost to Kentucky, um, Iowa State, and Alabama. The Auburn, Kentucky, yeah, you know,
it's
two
early
not so great.
non-con stuff, but again, 6 losses. I mean, Purdue's got 7 and they're a 2 seed. I mean,
So
I don't know how you
UConn lost to Arizona. This is where the records are deceiving, I would say. They lost to St.
exactly.
John's, um, lost to Creighton by 7, lost to Marquette by 6.
At home, they lost to Creighton at home. They lost to Marquette, who's not I mean, okay, let's say
It was
UConn
at St. John's.
full
They
body
don't
of work. Yes, you can say UConn should be higher than St. John's. St. John's should not be a 5. At worst, they should be a
no.
4.
And this
At
is where
worst.
too I would say the seeding is deceiving, right? We see the numbers in front of them and we kind of place too much value on that. But at the same time,
Yeah.
they
I
got
mean,
the number 1 overall number 1 though too, Duke, right?
right. So you're probably
So,
like, and you have okay, so
did they get the shaft? Absolutely, they got the shaft. I wouldn't be opposed to Wisconsin being the 5 over there with Duke, right? St. John's, I mean, I don't know if that's a great I mean, pick a poison with a 1, but maybe they deserve the Florida 1, right? Um,
he-
if you're a
here,
5.
here's the best way I can imagine this right now is Texas Tech has lost its best player, right?
And they're still a
Texas
5.
Tech is 22-10. St. John's has 6 losses, and they're the same seed. So, like, I don't know how the committee can kinda and they won the Big Ten or Big East regular
You
season
know,
and the title. Like,
I think, they're getting definitely the shaft for straight up just being in the Big East. How they're
again,
rated
not their
a
fault.
5 from UConn. UConn's body of work maybe looks slightly better, and, the community's probably afraid of Coach Hurley. He's gonna get up on him. He's gonna get physical with him.
Yeah. Well, I
You
don't think
know,
it's
don't
necessarily, like, one or the other. Like, I you can easily say UConn could be a higher seed, but, like, a 5 seems ridiculous. For
absolutely, you know, you St. John's is the best 5. How you put them in that bracket, though, I that doesn't make any sense to me,
yeah,
especially when you look at the other 5s. Like, again,
yeah,
I like Vandy, I like Wisconsin, you know, they're clearly favoring the Big Ten and the SEC over the Big East. I would do the same, but not at St. John's expense. Um,
yeah,
I wouldn't say, but that's definitely what you're getting here. I mean, we got to crank up, you know, Big East. It's got to matter again. You know, we
yeah.
gotta, they got to do some lobbying out there.
Well, what's funny about the Big East too is, like, you know, losing like those rivalries, those teams in your region, like we were talking about it earlier, Syracuse and Pittsburgh, like that's the Big East, man. Like what when you remove some of that stuff, like those teams have suffered since they've left, and the league suffers. And now Villanova's had obviously a great run.
Absolutely.
They've won. I mean, they're awesome. They have a great tradition. They'll get back. Kevin Willard's going to get them back.
Yep.
But I fully think McDermott and Creighton obviously have had great runs too, so it's probably just it happened to be this year where Marquette was bad.
You know,
Um,
your fringe schools as well. Butler has been a long time of just really 500-ish type of basketball, probably ever since they got heavy in the Big East, unfortunately for them. Um, yeah, I mean, they could just use a little shot in the arm. They're not far away from having Villanova running the show here with Jay Wright. And now they've had a heck of a run with UConn. So they're not irrelevant by any means.
yeah,
They definitely just they don't get the national publicity of the Big Ten and then the SEC thereafter for
yeah.
sure.
For the
But
record, I love the Big East. Like, I love the
oh,
gritty, tough
it's
guards.
basketball through and through
Oh,
Madison
it's so
Square
good.
Garden.
Yeah.
Um,
Even like as ugly as that scene got in Providence the night Bryce Hopkins played back up
yeah,
there with St. John's, and there was all that hard foul that was
yep,
terrible and all that. But like, I mean, you kind of expect that out of Providence. Like it's a little nuts, right?
absolutely.
Like it's a little
It
crazy.
it it feels like it means more out
Yeah,
there. So I do love that. I mean, these are basketball schools,
yeah,
right? Um,
yeah. Football's not
all
as
the
big a
way.
deal. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it is
Um,
pretty cool to see.
we got way off track. We were talking
We did.
upsets
We
earlier.
did.
That's
Want me to
okay.
list
That's
some
what
other
we're.
potential upsets?
Well, you picked Akron over Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I think I know it's 11-6, and you brought up the stat that over half of those 11s have won. I think I'm going to go with South Florida.
Me
Even if
too.
Michael Brown Jr.'s back, there's some, you know, cohesiveness that needs to come from playing, and South Florida, I think, has that. Louisville doesn't. Louisville's been kind of just meh for a lot of the year.
Yeah.
Javon Hadley, Creek-Durham Hall grad, very, very good player for Louisville, but, you know, I don't they're okay. Like,
Yeah.
if Mikel Brown's not awesome, I don't think that they scare anybody. Their bigs aren't great. McNeely can shoot it, and Conwell can shoot it. Hadley does a lot of dirty work, but I don't think that's enough to beat a South Florida team that I think is good. Like they're 47th in Ken Palm. Like they're
They're
not a
solid.
joke. So I think they might get them. Plus, they play super fast. Um, they rebound they get after the offensive glass. So I don't know. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick South Florida over Louisville. Although,
I don't see a lot of, Santa Clara as a 10 over Kentucky. I could see that.
yeah,
I don't see a lot of other 10s that I'm very excited about. Missouri, Miami, I'd like to see Miami move on. UCLA, UCF, UCF is a borderline surprise maybe that they made the tourney. Um, Not the greatest defensively. They started the year well and they fell off.
well, they got
Um,
the big wins in conference though. They got a couple of monster wins over. They beat Kansas. They beat Texas Tech. They beat BYU. So I mean, they got a couple of those that they needed to get.
Most of those were early, right?
Well, BYU was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Um,
They lose to
yeah,
Vandy early. Let's
yeah.
see.
I
I
mean,
don't know. Maybe
they
beat
finished
Kansas
they finished the regular season losing to Baylor, Oklahoma State, West Virginia. And again, this goes back to my rant earlier about like
111, 104 versus Oklahoma State.
the
Yeah, this
these
is not the
middle of
best defensive team.
these middle of the road power conference teams. I've seen enough. Like that's
Yeah.
great that UCF's in. Good for you. Whatever. But you're not.
You know,
You're just
that 97-84 victory over BYU, I think that shows BYU's Achilles heel. They've been a high flying team, BYU, for a number of years now, but definitely leave a lot to be desired on the defensive end. I don't know if it's against the Mormon religion to play defense.
yeah. I don't know either. Like you're just not gonna go very far if you can't play a little defense. I mean,
They usually can shoot the lights out in our fun style of basketball, absolutely, but man, it gets tough during tourney time. Um, they would be a fun matchup against Gonzaga, uh, and then we'll see from there. That I don't know how Miami, if they're a little more gritty or not. Um, Miami's pretty looks pretty decent defensively and offensively, pretty even. Um,
I mean, that's a first year head coach in Miami, Jay Lucas from Duke. He was an
oh
assistant.
yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty damn good job to come into
absolutely,
Miami and go 25-8. I mean, he got Malik Renew transferred from Indiana, and that's helped. Obviously, he was a pretty solid player. Not, but he wasn't like,
yeah.
you know, I mean, he was fine. So that helps. But yeah, they just him and Trey
They
Donald. I got a couple of
they
seniors, so
spent their money right.
yeah,
That's what you're telling me.
yeah. So I
Um,
mean, good for them. That
Absolutely,
run they've had, Jim Larranaga had some good teams there, and
absolutely. Yeah, they made a great run last year, if
the
I
year
remember
that,
correctly.
Loyola knocked them out, that was, a big surprise. Miami had a good team, so,
Yeah, they've been a
um,
solid program.
yeah, let's see what else we got. Oh, I was gonna just bring up a couple names. Minnesotans playing. Obviously, Wisconsin's got 4 of them, so this is a Minnesota-focused podcast, so, I wanted to make sure we did this. Andy Stefanowicz, Minnetonka native, playing for NDSU, starting point guard. Really reliable. Another plug to listen to my podcast with Dave Richmond, head coach at NDSU. We talk about Andy and what he's meant to that team. Nasir Whitlock, De La Salle product, Mr. Basketball in Minnesota a couple years ago, starts point guard for Lehigh. Actually, hit a half court shot to get them into the semis, so they were close to not even. The game was tied. I mean, it's not like they would have lost, but um, that's he's a bucket, man. I don't know if you've seen him play.
Yeah,
Not real big. He dropped. I'm pretty sure he had 20 against Houston earlier this year. So Nazir
you put up
Whitlock,
against
I
20
mean,
against Houston. That's saying something.
yeah, exactly. Like they're big guards. Like Uzan and Sharp were guarding him, and he was still making shots. So like, watch Nazir Whitlock. If you get a chance to watch Lehigh, if they're in a playing game. So if they win, they get Florida. So that'll be an interesting matchup there. But other guys, Nate Heisey, I mentioned at Iowa State, Trey Holloman playing at NC State, again, another Cretin Durham Hall product, to go with Javon Hadley at Louisville. So those two actually, Hadley was a senior, Holloman was a junior. COVID hits, they don't get to play in the state tournament. That team was
Yeah,
pretty damn good. They had a good chance. And then the other one, yeah, Heisey I mentioned already. So there's a few more. I think all in all, I counted 18 high school Minnesota high school players. Caleb Schoenrock, another player at NDSU from St. Francis. Chase Thompson, fresh from Alexandria, playing at Clemson.
Clemson.
Um, who else we got here? Mercy Miller. I count him, Master P's kid. He
Oh
played at
yeah,
Minnehaha for a couple years with
that's
Jalen
right.
and Chet, but then he transferred out after that. I don't know why. You'd think he would. I'm sure he loved Minnesota. Um,
Absolutely.
he's at Houston, getting more minutes this year.
He couldn't get any run here,
Yeah,
Too much
right.
talent.
Sure.
Too much talent.
Sure. And then let's see. Those are the big names. There's more. Some guys that don't
Braden,
play a lot, but
did you mention Braden Carrington, of course,
uh,
former Gopher, now with
I just
Wisconsin?
I just mentioned all the Wisconsin guys because they're
There you
half the
go.
roster. It seems like, but Will
Is
Cheddar.
Northern Iowa, Cheddar at Michigan.
Cheddar at Michigan.
Um,
Jalen Wilson from Benilde is at Iowa or Northern Iowa, but he doesn't play a ton. So
I feel like there was maybe
yeah,
any Minnesota kids on the Iowa State roster. They recruit well up here, that's for sure.
Isaac, the Lake City kid. Yeah,
Oh yes,
yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, Nolan Groves at Texas Tech too. Also doesn't play
that's
a
right.
lot. Yeah,
He had played a little more in the early part of the season, had he not?
yeah, got a freshman record for rebounds in a
Yeah,
game, and then hardly played
six
since. So
6'5" or so. That's the coach there is intense. Maybe he
yeah.
got on the wrong side of things.
Well,
You never know. Those freshmen.
Shooter over at the Pioneer Press is telling people that he thinks Groves might end up at Minnesota
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year.
yeah, we'll
So
take him. We'll take him. Absolutely.
I don't know, man. It's pretty hard to turn down chances to compete for Big 12 titles, and
Yeah.
that's what people don't
Hey,
get. Like,
Nico's got us going on the right track. Texas. The unfortunate thing is the kind of money in Texas is something else at all those schools. Texas Tech, A&M, Texas.
yeah,
I mean, they are throwing around money
yeah,
to another level, to say
yeah,
the least, and it shows in every sport
yeah,
for sure. Not just football; it shows in basketball as well.
yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah. I mean, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M are and SMU. SMU's in that playing game against Miami, so they all those Texas schools. But Miami, I've been defending them. I defend the mid majors. I love mid majors. I want more mid majors in March Madness. I
same
will
here.
say, like, if you're Travis Steele and you're Miami, you lose your one game all year, and you complain about nobody wanting to play you. Now's your chance. If you show up and you get stopped by SMU, people are gonna say, "See, they played nobody." But if you go out and you win that game, you provide more, you know,
Ammunition,
yeah,
absolutely.
ammunition for people to say, like, "See, these mid-major teams are good. They deserve a chance, at least a fair shake against, the NCAA and the power conference teams all want more money. They want more teams in, so they get more bigger slice of the pie." But
I
man,
think watching enough high school basketball, youth basketball, these kids in every sport, they play so much nowadays. Their talent is undeniable. The time that they put in, it shows. And so, man, when you really only got 8 guys on a roster, there's more than what do we got? 15 to 18 teams times four, 70 some teams times eight, 560 kids. There's more than that many talented um, kids
yeah,
floating around out there that can play D1 basketball. And it's showing here, when you do get some of these fun matchups of the smaller mid majors, a Lehigh versus a Houston or whatnot, and get to see a kid like Whitlock flash,
yeah,
and you're wondering, how did that kid end up there? You
right,
know, how did anybody miss him? But there's that many good players, and there's only so many roster spots, and that's what the amazing thing with the transfer portal, you know, making a little bit more of a revolving door. But other than that, you're maybe handing out 2, 3 scholarships a year at best.
yeah.
You'd love to
Well,
hand out more, but you just only have so much playing time.
and now
So
a lot of these guys are smart enough to say, "I'm gonna bet on myself and go somewhere smaller and get paid eventually," right? Like, they'll
yeah,
say, "Hey, I'm willing to go for a year to whatever
yeah,
school." I mean, you see it in the Summit League. You see Andrew Rohde at
Yeah.
St. Thomas goes to Virginia, gets paid. You see, the kid I talked about earlier, Jakari White from NDSU. Not that he was maybe looking, but like you have a good season at NDSU and you score 15 points a game. Virginia comes
Oh,
calling and says, "Hey, I'll give you $500,000 to come play for us." Like, of course you're going to
yep.
do that. It's kind of minor league basketball at this point, and a lot of
Yeah,
these kids are saying, "Hey, if I'm not going to start, if I'm not going to play big minutes right away, I'm going to go somewhere smaller." So that was
absolutely.
I've talked to when I talked to Richmond. Again, shameless plug. Listen to that tomorrow.
Yep.
Uh, I will. I asked him about the transfer portal and recruiting at NDSU and how it affects him. He's like, I'm not going to worry about that because I think it does go both ways, right? Like there are
Yeah.
guys that maybe could be, they might have been a 11th guy on a Big Ten roster, but at NDSU you can go play for 2 years and crush
It's
it.
gonna be complete stud,
Yeah, and
you
so
know.
it's working out
Obviously,
for them. So
we seen what happened with Cade Tyson. I mean, that blows my mind that he's not getting any minutes at North Carolina and he's, all
right,
Big Ten player. Even
for
though even though he didn't make the all Big Ten teams, but when you have 18 teams and they only pick 15 guys, it's pretty wild
let's be honest, if the
for those
Gophers
honors.
don't, if they don't lose their three of their starters to injuries,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
11-9 in the Big Ten, he's on at least a third team All Big Ten or second team.
Absolutely. They're probably borderline tourney team for sure.
100% they would
Um,
have been. I mean, I I think I mentioned this like after they lost the Big Ten tournament this week. I talked about how essentially, you lose Chauncey Willis and Viola right before the Thanksgiving tournament, and then they lose like three in a row to San Francisco, Santa Clara, and Stanford. If you win two out of those three, and then you add two
yeah.
more 10 wins, you know, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
the San Francisco one really hurts. Stanford wasn't too bad of a team, and obviously Santa Clara is a tourney team. So they looked bad at
exactly
the time, that little West Coast swing, but turns out it really wasn't that bad.
no,
Um, and we were just kind of coming into our own. So it was amazing
yeah,
what they did. With the six Iron Men, they were
yeah,
fun to watch no matter what. They moved the ball so well. They are what I, you know, opine for in watching basketball. They made offense look easy. They made it
yeah,
look like you're at an advantage having the ball. Um, too many teams. It's just too many ball screens, and it looks hard to score,
yeah,
and it shouldn't be that way. So kudos to Coach Medved. And kind of getting back to these mid-major coaches, credit to them for churning the rosters the way they do, going to find these kids that, for whatever reason, undersized, small school, um, overlooked on their own high school roster
yeah,
with the amount of talent that some of these high school programs put out. Um, they're finding kids and plugging them into a program, and you see the identities of these coaches in these programs, even at the lower levels. And now the you know, power four athletic directors are realizing, uh, unfortunately for the smaller schools, that these guys can coach. You
yeah,
know, um, wouldn't you know, the guys having the most success are the guys that are just winners everywhere. We saw it in football with Signetti. We're
yeah,
seeing it regularly in basketball now. Um,
yeah,
the guys without experience, assistant coach here, assistant coach there. They tend to kind of like first round quarterbacks that haven't played a lot. Ooh,
yeah,
they need a little more seasoning. Um,
yeah.
but these
It's
coaches that win, shocker, they can win at any level.
yeah,
So,
100%.
but
All right, man. Well, this was fun. I think we got everything we
absolutely,
wanted to get covered. Again, I'll just plug Thursday, Back Channel Brewing. If you're listening, feel free to stop by. We'll be giving away some swag. We'll be talking the first round of the tournament. March Madness starts officially, I guess, Tuesday with the first four in Dayton, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Thursday's the big day. We'll be out at Back Channel in Spring Park on the shores of Lake Minnetonka. And also, like I said, I got that podcast coming out with Dave Richmond, head coach at NDSU. So, Eric, any
looking
final
forward
thoughts?
to it. It's
Yeah,
going to be a
man.
fun tournament, best time of the year. Then after the tourney, Steve, future episode, as I mentioned to you off air, start the debate. Best Minnesota high school team of all time. You
Oh,
remember
yeah.
my vote. You remember my vote. 2000, early 2000s, 2001, Litchfield, Carlson brothers, and
The
all the other
Litchfield
brothers.
Dragons, Eric's a big fan of the Carlson
That's
brothers.
one of mine. I was blown away by them.
Yeah,
But we talked was it 2009 Hopkins, Royce White led, Marcus
yep,
Williams, Minneapolis North
yep,
would have some arguments there, but
yep. Some
I
of those
think
Pep
that could be a fun one. We could hear it
Yep,
from all corners of the state.
that's a great
Love to see
idea.
some of the arguments.
I'll get a historian on, we'll break it down. That sounds like a in-person, like, four-person
There's got to be
debate.
somebody good for this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Great idea, man. Well,
well, I appreciate you having me.
thanks for jumping on. Sorry we couldn't do it in
Absolutely.
person. Did you blow your snow? Did you get it plowed, or did you just shovel?
Oh, yeah, my neighbor works for Polaris, so he gets to play with his toys.
Oh,
So it works out
jeez.
well.
Nice. This was a
Yeah.
bad time to have your snowblower go out, like, the
Oh,
last snow we had, mine went out, and I
yeah.
was like, "You know what? We might be okay. We might be able to get through this winter." Shoulda known better,
Yeah, I
man.
packed my shovels away. Shame on
Oh,
me. I had one little one in the garage,
yep.
but
Thankfully, I got a couple boys that came out and helped for about 15 minutes, but
that's
yeah.
the way to go.
Well,
Right
sorry we
on.
couldn't do it in person, but thanks for jumping on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for anybody listening, watching. Nick, thanks for the questions on St. John's. I know you're upset. Hopefully they can get through the first round and get to Kansas and show everyone what's up. But again,
Retribution.
thanks for joining, Eric. This was awesome. Let's stay in touch.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you know what? I got to ask you, what are you doing on Thursday?
I might have to make it down. I'll have to look at the
Okay.
schedule.
Okay. You don't have
If I
like
can make it, I'll
standing
be there.
times, bark a lounger. You don't watch at home. What do you usually do?
Oh man, I have many TVs going, so I can't, make sure I got one in the garage if I got to sneak out there, a couple in the basement, wherever I need to have
All
it to
right.
sneak it in, right?
So you're
Between
taking
all the
care of.
kid shows.
Well,
Absolutely.
maybe sneak
But if I
down.
can make it
Where
down, I'll
you're
be
at.
there. Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All right, man.
You
Thanks a
bet. Have a
lot.
good one.
You too.